Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 113. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at Rethink Coaching. As always, I just want to take a minute and acknowledge the fact that you're here. I do believe time is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share your time with me does not go unnoticed. It means that you trust me, and I'm so grateful that you're here on this journey. So I just got back from Miami a couple days ago, and I was at a national conference for a real estate company, EXP. And I had the privilege of presenting and being on a panel of high achieving coaches. It was a great experience. And I love to share and have a platform where I can share as much as I can to help people achieve the goals that they've set for themselves and that they want to achieve. And not only was I there as a presenter, but I was also there to learn. And so I'm wearing two hats, right? When I'm talking from the front of the room, I'm sharing and wanting to help people. But when I'm an audience member, I love learning new things because the journey to learning is never over. But here's what I noticed. It's funny, as a couple of my clients were there and I had a great time catching up with them, people that I know. And then there were people that I didn't know that would see me on a panel or know who I was and want to come up and talk about what was going on in their business, which, I love. You can come up and talk to me about that anytime. And there was this undercurrent that was ever so slightly appearing in a lot of the conversations I was having. And it was about this feeling of being burned out. Like we're in this huge push towards the last part of the year. We're pushing to get to goal, and I'm feeling a little burned out. And there's 5 things that I wanted to talk about when somebody tells me they're burned out. And I want to share those with you because I don't believe you're burned out. I think you're either overwhelmed or you're just lacking clarity. And I think it's that simple. But when we ignore the clarity and we ignore the overwhelm, it appears that we're burnt out. And that's a familiar feeling or a familiar adjective that we use to describe how we're feeling when we're off or out of balance. So number one thing is right now, at the time of year that we're at, if you're an entrepreneur or business leader or just wanting the best life possible, we're nearing the finish line, meaning the calendar year is coming to an end. December 31st, 2025 is not that far away, team. It's really not. We're probably 65, 66 days away from the year ending. And there's this pressure that the finish line is coming quicker and quicker and quicker. And I may not be where I wanted to be in my business, meaning I might have a gap between where I thought it was going to be and where I actually am. And potentially, I'm going to miss the goal that I set for myself. And that pressure we put on ourselves that the finish line is coming is we feel behind and we think that we must catch up, right? When that gap though is unrealistic, that pressure is huge. And that's what could create us feeling a little bit burnt out. So it's the time of the year where a lot of us are sprinting towards the finish line. And what I do know is when we see that pressure, sometimes we're not running the right race. And that was a question that I would ask people that came up to me, and I would ask them a very simple question. If you looked at your business plan that you set at the beginning of the year, the one that you've been following all year long, are you running that race or have you caved and are panicking and playing this game where you got to get to that finish line and slide in right under the wire at goal? And you're doing things that are not in alignment anymore. Also, have the moment with yourself to ask, here's the finish line. Here's where I am. There's a gap. Is it even realistic for me to close the gap? And it may not be. And sometimes that's the hardest thing in the world to admit, but it's really important that we do because an unrealistic goal will suffocate us. An unrealistic goal will cause us to be running the wrong race. I cannot stress that enough. It will create chaos in your world. That chaos, lack of certainty, lack of clarity, overwhelm is going to show up like burnt out. All right. So really just acknowledge the finish line is coming, acknowledge where you are, assess where you are versus the gap, and show yourself a little bit of grace so you don't go crazy. Burnout number two thing is burnout is not really just exhaustion. It's usually misalignment. All right. So burnout doesn't start with us having to do too much work. It starts when your why and your what are out of alignment. All right. This goes back to business planning where we talk about why are you doing this, right? For me, there's four elements and four impacts in everything that I do that drives me, right? It's being aligned with what's the impact on me? What's the impact on my family and friends? What's the impact on my team? And lastly, what's the impact on my legacy? If I'm feeling exhausted or burnt out, chances are I've disconnected from those four areas. And all I have done is focus on the numbers. I've, I've, I'm chasing numbers instead of chasing my impact. That's a huge difference. And that's going to create chaos for you. So when you're misaligned, meaning you're doing whatever it takes to get to goal, and they're not in alignment with the strategies that you know are going to work, it's going to drain your energy because you're drifting away from your values. You're drifting away from what you know is going to work, and you're in a state of panic. And it's going to feel like overwhelm. It's going to feel like lack of clarity, and it's going to present itself as burnout. Ask yourself the question, am I tired because I've done too much? Or am I tired because I've done too much of the wrong thing? It's really critical. Eliminating doing the wrong thing is a great step getting to becoming aligned again with your goal. Think about number three, that overwhelm is the signal, not a symptom. All right. Think about it like when you're driving your car and a warning light comes on the dash. So I drive a car right now that I haven't driven this brand in a while. And I'm not loving it. It's a great car, not loving it. And as of late, this particular brand has issues with tire pressure. And it drives me crazy. As I pull out of my garage and the temperature changes from the garage to the outdoor, my warning light on the dash comes on that I've got tire pressure issue. And it's usually not just in one tire, it's in multiple. And I get concerned that I need to, fix it because that warning light is on my dash. So think about the same thing, that overwhelm, right, is a signal. It's the warning light on your dashboard of your business or your life telling you that something is wrong. And we have to pay attention to it. We truly have to pay attention to it. And when you do, it really makes a difference, because when you dismiss clarity and you exchange it for busyness, is when that warning light's going to go from a steady to a flashing and become a real problem. So step back, take a moment and just step back, right? We've got a signal that's telling us that something is going on. And we want to take a step back and assess what exactly is happening. What if the goal isn't to do more before the year end, but to just see clearer on what actually matters? For me, the warning signal about the stupid tires, it's not the end of the world, but it's telling me what really matters is I need to stop and get air in my tire. And then the warning light's going to go away. And I'm not going to be stressed about driving, worrying if I'm going to have a blowout or I'm going to have a flat tire when I come out of running an errand or whatever it is. It is a signal and we need to pay attention to it. So pay attention to your dashboard and acknowledge that, hey, there's a lot going on right now. And what am I giving my attention and my intention to? Both are important. It's not about doing more. It's really about gaining clarity on the right activities. The number four thing that we tend to do, which is really dangerous, is we play this catch-up game. We become superheroes in our own story thinking we can do the impossible. We can close this gap. We can do it if we just work harder. If I work 80 hours a week instead of 60 or 40, or if I work 100 hours a week, that I can win this game of catch-up. And that belief can be really dangerous for a couple of reasons. Sometimes what we do in this catch-up game is we disconnect from the reality of what it's going to take to close the gap, to catch up. Really important as a business owner that you know your numbers and you know exactly what you need to do to move the needle forward. So if I'm coaching someone and we have a gap, or somebody comes to me and we got a gap, meaning actual versus where we forecasted to be at the end of the year. There's a huge gap between where we are and where we wanted to be. I will immediately say, okay, what's the gap? What's that number in either revenue, units, or whatever your measurement is for your business? And I will ask the question, what exactly has to happen to secure the business to do X amount of transactions or X amount of revenue? And we do a self-discovery because a lot of times we'll find out that, hey, when I do what I'm supposed to do, and I have about 60 conversations a week with people, I get a lead. And that lead I convert, and I know that, hey, on average, I need to do 60 conversations. But if I look at the gap and measure it to say, okay, in conversations, let's just say that's the strategy. In the conversations I need I need to go from 60 a week to about 500. All of a sudden, the catch-up game becomes real clear that I'm not going to catch up. But if I don't allow myself to adjust that goal to a more realistic goal, I'm going to play catch up and it's going to be an emotional trap. I know subconsciously I can't do what it takes to close the gap. No matter how hard I show up, no matter what I do, the reality of me closing the gap and playing catch up is not in alignment. And it's going to make it really hard for me to stay the course. I know a lot of people feel this way, and I'm going to speak for a lot of people, myself included. If I'm not going to get to this unrealistic goal, I may just say, screw it. I'm just not going to do it. If I'm not going to get to that goal, why am I going to kill myself? I'm just going to finish where I'm going to finish and I'm going to start over next year. Sometimes that is what happens. But if I adjust the goal down and say, you know what, it's going to kick my butt through the end of the year, but the reality is I could get to that new goal. That could be my new gap. And I can handle that because I know the right strategies to get there. So in that example, I'm not going to have 600 conversations a week. And that might be the number that you need to have to close the original gap. But if I adjust my number down and I go, you know what, to get there, I need to have about 90, maybe 100 conversations a week. I can do that. Is it a stretch? Yes. Is it going to push me? Yes. But is it realistic? Yes. It's still a stretch, but it's realistic. And now my catch-up game has changed. My catch-up game is based on reality, and it is going to be recorded with my brain of, I got a chance of doing this. I could actually make this new goal and celebrate at the end of the year. So I want you to think a little differently about this, right? We might need to adjust. It's okay if you do, team. It is. It's really okay. It's not the desire, yet it's our reality. And we may need to adjust. We need to show ourselves some grace. Think about this though. It's not always just about closing the gap, but it's about closing the loop. What lessons do I need to learn so I don't have this gap or this loop again next year? Because we're starting to creep into 2026 with our activities. So if I take a moment and just assess where I am, chances are, if you are someone who has come to the awareness that you've got a gap between where you are and where you wanted to be, and it's significant, you're probably unclear, lacking clarity, and feeling very overwhelmed right now because you're doing anything and everything humanly possible to get to that goal. I may not be able to have 600 conversations, but dang it, I'm going to do these 5 other things that I've seen work, have never worked for me, and I don't do them, but I'm going to just play all out and throw it all against the wall and hope something sticks. Instead of doing that, just back up. What's the lesson? Am I misaligned? Am I running the wrong race? Am I running somebody else's race because I'm doing activities that are not in alignment with what I know works for me? Take a moment and learn. It's okay to pump the brakes for a second. It's okay to play CEO and look at your business, work on it versus in it. This is one of those moments when we're playing the catch-up game that we need to get out from working in it and work on it for a moment to make sure that we're playing the right catch-up game. Because here's what I know to be true. How we finish the year is how we're going to start the next year. And if we finish in a state of lack of clarity and overwhelm and a feeling of burned out, that's how we're going to start 2026. It just is. Versus taking a step back, creating a realistic gap, getting realigned with running the right race, meaning your business, your activities, your strategies at work. Take the next couple months to get back in alignment. It's going to allow you to enter 2026 in a really good place. It clears the runway for you. And you've got 8 weeks to get back into alignment. So if you're going to play a catch-up game, play that catch-up game. What do I need to do to get in alignment? Number 5, clarity over urgency wins any day. This is where I'm saying work on, not in. So here's the difference, right? If I'm responsible for sales, which I am responsible for some sales in my businesses, and I have this overwhelming urgency and I'm just doing. I'm in my business. I'm in it. I need to pause for a moment and back up and work on it like a CEO. Take a moment to assess what is really happening and take that moment so that we can plan the next 8 weeks. So again, what we do now is a great glide path into 2026 in a way that lines us up for success for Q1 of next year. Yes, it's going to impact how we finish the year, and that's okay. But as the year is ending, trade urgency for awareness. And you cannot do that when you're stuck in the business. You just can't. I've talked about this on other podcast episodes. I know it may seem counterintuitive, but you may need to take a morning, a couple hours to regroup. You may need to step out of the actions and into the strategies and just get back in the right race. I know what happens, team. I've seen this happen a million times. We've fallen off track with the proven strategies we know that will work. And so stop living in a space of urgency and start living in a space of clarity. Instead of, how much can I get done? Ask, what's going to bring me back into alignment? What are the strategies that are going to get me as close to that goal as I possibly can and get me back on track for better things in my future, for my upcoming calendar year that is knocking loudly on our door? Clarity is what's going to end burnout, not accomplishment. Clarity will bring accomplishment, I promise you that. But clarity is what's going to end this burnt out or this feeling of overwhelm. Because when I'm crystal clear on what I need to do to get to my new goal, I'm not overwhelmed anymore. I'm really clear on the strategic actions I must take to move forward. It pulls me out of overwhelm. It gives me clarity, and I no longer feel burned out because here's what I know. I can work really long hours. I can work an 8 to a 10-hour day. And if I'm focused on the right strategies and I'm clear on what I'm doing, I'm going to end the day with energy. Or I can work a 5-hour day focused on all of the wrong things and end up feeling completely depleted. So clarity over urgency, clarity over do more, clarity over panic is going to win every single time. It's the most important thing that you can do. And you can't do it when you're running in the race. You have to back out and be your own coach, or ask your coach, or hire a coach right now to help get you back on track, because you need that person that's going to lock arms with you and work on the business and not be in it. That's the beauty of a coach. That's the beauty of a accountability partner. That's the beauty of having somebody be able to pull you out of the action and get you realigned with the right action that's going to get you there and take you out of the feeling of being burnt out. So if you're feeling it, it's normal, but you don't have to feel burnt out. You really don't. The biggest thing you can do for yourself is gain clarity on your new goal if the gap is too big to close. Embrace it, show yourself some grace, own it, set that new one, gain clarity on what that new goal is. The number 2 thing to gain clarity on is, what specific actions do I know work for me? Go back to your business plan. What were the strategies you put in place? I promise you, they'll work because you're smart. And when you wrote the business plan, you wrote it in a place of hope. You wrote it in a place of abundance, not scarcity. And so lean into those strategies. You should have at least 3 categories that we're working on and strategies underneath those. Gain clarity on that. Know that that's what you firmly believed when you wrote your business plan. And I promise you, if you did it, it would work. Look back over the last year and reflect on those strategies and connect them to your wins. That is another great way to get certainty and clarity. I have proof that when I do this, I got that result. I have proof that this activity got me that sale, got me that client, whatever it is, whatever your goal is for moving forward. Take a moment and get out of urgency and get into clarity. I promise you, I've done this a long time. We just have most likely strayed away from the strategies that we know would get us there. Sometimes it's just because of repetitious boredom and we wanted something exciting and sexy and fun, and we've fallen off track. So going back to one of the first elements of this is run the right race, your race, not somebody else's. Do what you know is going to work for you. So the 5 things are: remove a little bit of pressure about the finish line. You may have to change the goal. It's okay if you do. Number 2, burnout isn't just exhaustion, it's misalignment. So what are you out of alignment with? When your why and your what are not in alignment, you've disconnected from why you're doing this, and that can be causing some exhaustion. Overwhelm is a signal, not a symptom. So think about overwhelm as the warning light on your dashboard telling you that there's something going on that you need to address and fix so that you can operate at a really high level, just like a car warning light comes on. Number 4, the illusion of the catch-up game. Get realistic on what that number is and what you're going to be able to do. You can't make up for lost time. Gosh, if I could tell you how to do that, I wouldn't have to ever coach again. I could retire. We can't make up for lost time, but we can maximize what we're doing in the time that we have, setting us up for a powerful new year. Clarity over urgency. Number 5, it's probably the most important thing that you can do is get out of this feeling of urgency and get into a position of clarity. That will guide you to the path to success and be the best glide path into the upcoming year so that you're positioned for success when the year starts and you're not in a place of burnout or overwhelm. You're clear. You will most likely have great data points to validate what you did over the next 8 weeks, that work that you can continue doing. All right, team, as always, if you've got a question about this or anything else, please reach out. Don't stay in a place of burnout. Don't stay in a place of overwhelm. Get clear. Crystal clear. Clarity is the answer, my friends. Question about this or anything else, reach out to me, Tony at rethinkcoaching.com. It's the easiest way to directly get a hold of me or DM me on any of the social outlets, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, occasionally on TikTok, not that often, but you can find me if you need help. I'm always here to help you out. Go make it a great week. Find your clarity. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.